Today on Doomed! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. This is a call-in show this week. It was a long holiday weekend here in the U.S., Memorial Day weekend. And, I'm feeling a bit behind on things. Catching up on the news. Horrible stuff happening in the world as per usual. Let me put myself up on the feed here. So I thought, let's all, oh, whoops, I'm using the wrong, oh boy, I'm completely out of it. Oh my God, I'm using the wrong, I forgot how to use my, one extra day off. You get Monday off. The funny thing is I worked on Sunday too, but I had Monday off. Just one extra day off though. And I'm completely thrown off. Everyone's complaining I was late. I wasn't that late. 7 minutes? That's not that long comparatively. Maybe because she thought I was going to start at 9 as per usual. I've been starting a little bit later than usual lately because, it's the days are longer. The kids are staying up later. So I gotta, I'm trying my best. Yeah, I mean, the phone lines are open. We got plenty to talk about, I'm sure. I just didn't feel comfortable doing first of all, didn't have a chance to get a guest. So that's my bad. But then usually, me, I can go on a topic, but I'm feeling out of it. I explained. The long weekend threw me off my game. All right? Off to a great start. Yeah, I'm out of it. I'm sorry. We all get to have our off days, right? We all get to have our off days, and that's what today is for me. I'm here, right? I'm giving you guys a show. I'm telling you, it's gonna be great. I'm ready to dive in with the callers. I just didn't get a chance to do that before the show. All right, the calls are coming in. Let's take those calls. There's always tons of callers on the normal show too that we don't even get around to. So these call-in shows, in my opinion, are usually great when I haven't, have had to miss out on grabbing everybody. All right, let's. Can I pull you up on the feed?
Yeah, go for it. Hi, it's Charlie from Washington.
Hold on. Hey, Charlie. I was about to say, hey, Charlie, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
No, it's what it is. Labor Day being a day off is kind of like, I feel like it's still Tuesday, even though tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah,
so,
like that may or may not have played a role in today's show. Me not knowing what day it is. It's been, and then, if you look, you could tell I'm out of it. If you could go to my Twitter account and you can see I have actually not posted anything in about a week. I've been completely it is what it is. I'm sorry, folks. I'll get back into it. I promise. So what would you like to talk about, Charlie?
Just two quick local tidbits. I was reading a local article, and it was apparently, so in Washington, when you're a teacher, every 4 or 5 years or something like that, you have to go and get 100 hours of I guess training basically. And apparently here in Washington, Moms for Liberty has signed up to be one of those groups you can get that 100 hours from.
Oh boy.
Yeah. No, the article that I was reading about it did say that as of yet, no teachers have claimed to have gotten their hours from them, but
that's
more into this because this.
That's good.
So far, I mean, but it's just kind of I was talking about a while back where they were doing those petitions, and then some of those petitions passed. One of them being the parental rights thing, and this just kind of tracks along with that, and it kind of making me nervous. And the other thing that I wanted to say, as I noticed, speaking of petitions, I went to the local Walmart, and outside there are a couple of these the older folks who are apparently passing out pamphlets, trying to get signatures for "Don't let them take our gas stoves."
Oh boy.
And they were talking to another older person. And it was,
Oh boy.
she's like, none of the mainstream media ever tell the truth. And I'm like, they're not trying to take your damn stoves. If anything, they should really fund other people to just like the removal of and replacement of for like a new, more efficient stove. And just like, hey, this is yours for free. We will just do this for you.
I honestly like I listen. I haven't used. I don't think I've ever used an electric stove, but I've seen them. But I mean, like I don't. I've never. Let me rephrase that. I've never lived somewhere with an electric stove, but I've used an electric stove, and it does take some. It is odd, I guess, but it's not the end of the world. Like if I had to move somewhere that had an electric stove, or I had to get an electric stove. I mean, I rent, so honestly, I don't give a fuck. But
Well,
but
yeah. I
but
I
I mean, it really
personally,
does not matter to me. Like the electric stove, gas stove does not factor
I,
into any
I
choice.
if I have a choice, I actually kind of really want to try an induction stove because you're basically cooking your food with magnets. It
Oh,
sounds
I've
really
never.
like,
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I want to try it. But
Interesting.
all of my stoves have been electric. It's fine. I've had to cook with gas stoves at a restaurant before. Those things are kind of a pain in the ass, honestly, because sometimes they clog up and they stop working properly, or you got to make sure that the pilot light's lit, or you could have problems because it's a gas stove.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
but
maybe it's depending on where you live, I guess too. Like in New York, every apartment I've ever seen has a gas stove. Probably because they're older buildings. I don't know.
well, that's the other thing too is they're not actually coming to take them. They're just like, hey, when we make apartments, no more. We'll just put in electric stoves instead of gas stoves
Right.
for safety. That's literally it.
Yeah,
But they got to make it feel like they're coming.
it's safer too, isn't it? Right? Like I lived my whole life checking the stove before I left the house to make sure it was completely off, because there's situations where you could turn it and and it doesn't light, and you don't realize, or you shut it off and don't realize the gas is still on.
Yeah,
If you have pets, especially a dog that likes to jump up and put their paws up on the table, they could knock the knob and turn it on. I grew up always knowing you had to check that stuff. So to not have to worry about that does seem like a plus.
yeah, yeah. I just, yeah. How do you work with that? Like,
I
literally
mean,
nobody's gonna
I mean,
kick down your
I,
door and come. You think I gotta come for you, like drag you kicking and screaming to take your like at gunpoint take your fucking gas stove from me? Come on, lady.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't get it. But it's just something for them to complain about. Something for them to. I mean, most people who say so, who from what I've seen, who are making this an issue, are doing it for like content, or doing it to like rally their base of insane people. I mean, I don't know if I've heard from anyone who has a legitimate gripe with it, like a real legitimate reason. Because who cares? Truthfully, who cares?
yeah, all this is to say that whatever you think of the president, just vote for your local stuff because these people do vote. And
Right.
usually they're the only people who vote.
That's a good point, Charlie. The your
That's
local
the thing. It's like,
your local elections is where you can vote to take people's gas
but
stoves away. That's important. We
exactly.
have to
We're coming
we
for your
have
gas
to right.
stoves. We're
That's where we
going to
get you.
feminize your whole kitchen.
Right. This is where we get you. We're gonna woke your entire kitchen through local government. First, we
You're
come for your gas stoves.
We're gonna make your
Um,
fridge ask for your pronouns
right.
every
Right.
time you open it.
Right. And you know what? Forget electric cars. We're going for cars that run on vegetable oil. That's the that's the future right there. We're going full throttle there.
It'll be nothing but like mini trams.
I mean,
You won't even
honestly,
drive.
whatever happened to that? I'm completely out of. I just remembered it. when I was in like high school and college, the thing all environmentally conscious like punk bands were doing, where they were converting their band vans to vegetable oil, and like they would power their vehicle by going to like a local restaurant like on their next tour stop and like offer to like empty out the oil or something, and they would just take it for their van, and that would like apparently power their car. What happened to that? Is that actually environmentally good? Why didn't we go that route? Why are we doing terrible batteries and stuff like that?
Yeah. No, I've seen like online, and it actually seems like a pretty good idea if you take like a slug bug and just make that an electric vehicle, because it's such a tiny ass car.
Right.
It doesn't have to work as hard. That's
Well,
what I'm saying. We have this, what are they doing instead? They're doing a Cybertruck.
yeah, I was about to
You
say.
know,
Speaking of small electric vehicles, I just put in my pre-order for the Cybertruck.
well, good luck paying that off. You could have bought
Yeah.
a house instead, but had to go with a Cybertruck. Future and all
Yeah.
that.
That's where
Science.
that's where all your Patreon and YouTube and Twitch money goes, folks. From your pocket to
It
Elon
just,
Musk's.
it would be a much more viable way of doing electric. If we have to, actually, honestly, motorcycles would probably be the best way. Like everybody has to ride a motorcycle, no more cars whatsoever, and we'll think a little bit harder about how they drive, maybe.
Yeah.
But the next best thing, some of these smaller classy cars instead of the giant F-150s.
You know,
Like that's the problem. Like you don't need a huge ass car to just get to and from work. You can have a
right,
tiny pod. It could
right,
look cool.
right. I mean, it's probably
But
not good. This car probably isn't good for the environment. But the only car I ever actually wanted, like I saw, and was like, I want that car, is the Volkswagen Vanagons. The hippie bus vehicle. Do you know what I'm talking
oh
about?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think they're beautiful cars. The only car I'll ever say that for. Seriously, that's my most people. Most people are like, "Oh, I want a Lamborghini or something like that." No, my dream vehicle is that Volkswagen van.
Uh, mine's the '79 Cobra that's currently sitting dead at my parents' house.
Oh, you got
Well,
it though.
the engine won't actually turn over is the problem, and we don't know why. That's why I had to get
Oh,
a new car, but the new car is
wow.
actually pretty nice. So
Well, hold on. 79 Cobra. Hold on, I'm gonna look up. How much could you get for that?
'79 Cobra Mustang.
Not, it's not. I don't. I only see one for sale online. 20K they're looking for.
Yeah,
Let's see.
no. It is an old Rust bucket that we got for like 150 or $50. I don't remember which one that is, but like,
They're nice cars. I mean, again, those
it's
types.
a little hatchback. I
Yeah.
like the Fox body. You know what? It kind of reminds me of you remember Inspector Gadget, where he had the car that would turn into a van.
Right.
It
See,
looked
I
like the
like.
car from that. It was so cool.
I actually, it is hard for me because I actually do like big van cars, but like used for multiple people, like saving, conserving by
Yeah,
multiple
no, for
people
sure.
going in a
Honestly,
car. Yeah.
probably one of the better things if we're going to do giant electric vehicles is just do a lot, electrify the public transportation.
Right.
You know,
Rachel says I finally saw a Cybertruck in NYC last week. I actually also saw a Cybertruck in NYC a couple of weeks ago. And I just maybe it was the same one. I can't imagine too many people in New York City buying one, honestly. It's so
they're
fucking big.
so
It's so
ugly.
big and gaudy. It's
It's the
so pointless, so
You see
purposeless.
what I mean, though, right? Like you look like you're driving that, knowing how shameful you look
Right.
driving.
Listen, if you're
Yeah,
gonna get a big car, it's got to have purpose. It just can't be big for the sake of being big, like most like SUVs are, and like how the Cybertruck is.
it's the public humiliation fetish 5,000.
Right.
It's,
You look. They're just not nice. I mean,
it's the,
they're
I've
when
never
you
seen
see
a complete
when
car
you
in a
see
road.
one.
Ever.
When you see one, you are like, oh, let's take a look at this. Like, wow, that's a weird looking car. but like it's not like it's weird looking. That's why it gets attention. It's not like, oh, it's nice, I want one.
No, just watching that slowly drive by me while I was sitting in the intersection, I'm like, that is such an ugly vehicle. Holy shit. How can you say that's cool with a straight face?
Right. Yeah.
uh, but I'm gonna, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to call in and, like I said, vote locals
Well,
because
I'm glad Moms for Liberty are failing at this endeavor thus far. Probably they'll have a
I
little.
mean they've been able to register as an organization,
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
sure it's just the start, and that's kind of what I mean when I say there's no safe blue state. Never think of it that way.
right. Not
Particularly
not
locals. That's the thing is nobody pays attention to them. So the
right.
less people pay attention to them, the more your vote matters in them.
Right.
Everybody's paying attention to the presidency. Nobody's
Yeah.
paying attention to like the school board leaders and shit. So, but yeah, I'll get off and let you get to some of the other calls. But thanks for letting
Yeah,
me call
sounds
in.
good. No, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Yep. And go.
All right, let's go to the next call. Once again, you could call into the show via Skype. Search Doomed Live. You don't need to download anything. You use Skype for the web. Oh, can I pull you up on the feed? Oh, I already did. Whoops. But can I pull you up on the feed? Hello? Hey, you are on the air. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Uh-oh. I don't think he could hear me. That was you, though, whoever you are. All right, let's go to the next call here. Um. Oh, I did want to mention this. Obviously, this is what might as well do it now. I mean, I had wrote in my notes here. I did take notes. This was like the one topic I wanted to make sure to touch. It happened over the weekend. I wasn't online, so I didn't see it till a little bit after. But my God, nothing really is shocking anymore. But just the fucking the Israel airstriking those tents in the supposed safe zone in Rafah in Gaza. The images out of that, I mean, it literally looks like hell on earth. I don't know how else to describe it. It is, I like I've said before, I've seen some really over the years online and covering this stuff. I've seen some pretty horrific stuff, and everything coming out of there is been up there as the worst I've ever seen. And this past weekend, it was just like, my God. I literally don't even know what to say anymore about. It's all I can pay attention to, but I have no more words for it. It is extremely horrific. It is frustrating beyond belief. I know you guys all feel the same. You know, it's not something, unfortunately, that like, I can, there's plenty of topics here I feel like we talk about, we cover, and there's some movement on things. Or it's just not that heavy for things that is no movement on. This is, I don't even know what to say anymore. Fiona says nothing to say, image is enough, right? I don't even, it's honestly part of the reason why like I'm just not so active on social media right now. It's like I'm speaking into a void. I'm seeing what's happening. I just got nothing to say about it anymore. There's no words. I come on here to the live stream, tell you all for months on social media talking about it, it just gets worse and worse. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like Fiona said, nothing to say. The images just say everything. Yeah, I don't even. It's just I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Um. Oh, and this is the other thing on my notes. This is one thing I do have thoughts on. So there's this AI image going viral on Instagram. It has like millions of shares. And it says, where is it? Let me pull it up on the feed. Hold on, I'm finding it. All right, this is just a random screenshot of Aaron Paul sharing it. I'm not gonna. This is fine. I don't know if you've seen this. Why can't I? Oh, because it's. Jeez. All right. I'm just gonna screenshot it myself then. All right, here we go. So you might have seen this image. It is AI generated. It has tens of millions of shares on Instagram. Um, I there's been a lot of discussion around it. I actually have a number of feelings on it. I mean, I guess I'm happy that people who otherwise would not have shared the images I'm telling you guys about are sharing something about Palestine and what's going on there. The reason it's probably been able to get shared so much is because it is so sanitized. It's not an image out of Gaza that shows the images I was just talking about just a few minutes ago. On top of that, it's not getting taken down by content filters on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So that's the plus side. It is something ostensibly about Palestine that people are sharing. Problem is, like, what is this even? I think someone asked AI to generate tents, right? And put all eyes on Rafah in text. I mean, those don't look like tents. What does this mean? What is this? What is this image telling people about what's going on there? What is it? All eyes on Rafah? Why? On top of that, it's saying all eyes on Rafah, and it's literally not Rafah. It's not even doing what the image is telling you to do. That same sanitization I was talking about that helps it get through those content filters on social media. It's also taking away from the purpose of all eyes on Rafah. Well, this isn't on Rafah, and why should all eyes be on Rafah? Because of what's happening there. The horror that is not being portrayed in this image. I mean, I can tell you right now, those safe zone, the tents in those safe zones do not look like this. I don't even know what this is, honestly. This looks more like the fucking AI generated freedom convoy or something. Those look like trucks or something. But this has been the most shared image of this entire thing. I hate it. But at the same time, I feel like people wouldn't share anything about this at all otherwise. But also, they're not really sharing anything about it. But at the same time, this is more about it than other things they would share in their regular life. I mean, I've seen more people share this though than any other Palestinian content. Any other content of what's happening in Gaza. It's I just even this I don't know what to say about. All right, let's go to the phones. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, it's Dito from Central America, Costa Rica.
Hey, Dito, how you doing? What would you like to talk about?
Well, I've been busy over here. Uh, you were talking about the image of Rafa. That's not an image of Rafa, but the all eyes on Rafa type of thing. uh, you know, it fascinates me as somebody from Latin America how the global north, if we can use that term, is so fascinated at the same time so fixated on the issue that's happening on Israel Gaza, but at the same time, in my perspective, as somebody from the so-called global South, in some circumstances, I find it extremely hypocritical. I don't know. It just every single time I see that visceral reaction from Northern and Anglo speaking and European, it just it rings it leaves a sour taste on my mouth. I'm not saying everybody that is worried about the situation is like that. I'm just saying that due to the history and the thing about us down here, it feels in many circumstances performative. I don't know what do you think of that.
What specifically? Like, what do you? Maybe I missed it because maybe when I was changing the audio settings. But what specifically?
The
Or at least give me an example.
An example. All right. Three major examples. The
Ooh, I get three. Nice.
Yeah. One, I would say that the form of the protests within the universities, especially on Ivy League or a step lower of Ivy League type of universities in the United States, I applaud it. I found it great. But at the same time, some of the actions, like the lack of a cohesion in what was being asked and how it was being asked, left me with bad taste. And individuals within those protests, some examples of them showed to me that hypocritical stance. The second one aspect, it's clearly, for example, what happened and the reaction that happened when the CPI, sorry, ICC in English, CPI is in Spanish, it's Corte Penal Internacional. ICC is International Criminal Court in English. So if you hear me say CPI, I'm referring to ICC. Anyhow, it really called my attention how disinformative and disingenuous some of the information was, because all the action that was taken by the prosecutor can to the ICC was a request. That request does not mean that there's a arrest warrant out yet. That
Right.
process may take 1 year, but I saw many who stand with the past and etc. informing as if the arrest warrant was a given, and that created a wrong expectation. And the third example I will tell you is sometimes in the form of the conversations that I've been hearing a lot more often, but it's not my first time hearing this. I remember back in the 90s, early last this century, similar conversations as to the form of how United States and some in many European nations pretend to get themselves involved in the reality of this conflict, and it just feels, I wouldn't say feels, it showcases a problematic reactionary attitude towards all this. I don't know if I was clear with the three examples.
No, I see what you're saying. I mean, some of what you're explaining is like was just straight up like misinformation or bad reporting, depending on who you're talking about specifically. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's I think if I understood what you were saying, like there's there was gaps in rightfully explaining what was going on, and I think it caused some people to misunderstand exactly where we are in this, and give them a bit of a maybe more hope than where we're at right now. Is that what you're sort of saying?
In a way, yes. The
Yeah.
other point is, you know, for me seeing the situation and having also to deal with our own internal conflicts that are happening right now in Latin America. I stand with Palestine. I stand with the right of determination in Palestine in the same sense that I stand with the right of determination and the right of existence of both Palestine and Israel. The situation in itself and how it begins to trickle down into many other aspects is that there's this notion as if, let me put it this way. One thing I've talked, and I was in New York 3 weeks ago in the United Nations. One thing that sounds a lot in the halls of the United Nations is that we we have to, in a way of or to pressure both sides to sit down on a table and start resolving their historical issue, which is the hardest thing to do. But if Israelis and Palestinians, both the representatives and the peoples, don't give a moment to cool their heads off, this is just going to continue like it's been continuing for the past 70 years.
Well, the problem here is that there is no neutral arbiter here. Like, I mean, we're beyond that right now. We're not in that. That's not happening right now. But the problem is that there is no neutral arbiter. Like, we can't talk about this as if like, oh, the only problem is Israel and Palestine never sat down with each other. That's just not. It's not true. It's just not the problem. Problem is that there's never been a legitimate offer given to the Palestinians based on a sort of the scenario you're talking about, where two equal parties got together to work out a compromise. It just never happened. The idea that the U.S. has ever, obviously we do play a role here, and at this point we have to. We can't just walk away from it. We're already too, it's our responsibility now. But we never pressured Israel to sit down and do anything. We always said Israel calls the shots. Whatever's offered to the Palestinians, they better take it, or more of this. Or you continue to live under occupation, and then when over the years, as people in the West Bank or Gaza speak out or act out, then this happens to you. I mean, there's never been a situation where that your scenario has happened, and there never will be, because no one here is a neutral arbiter. Everyone involved in the process. First of all the power is with Israel. Second of all, we are on Israel's side here, giving them that power. There is no one making that happen. So I agree with you that needed to happen, but it didn't.
You know what's interesting? One of my most earliest memories as a political beast, or animal, as one could say, was Bill Clinton, Yasser Arafat, and Sharon Peres in the Camp David summit. I was there with my father as a young kid, and my father, at the moment, they were shaking hands and everything, and blah blah blah. My father told me, look at this and observe this real quickly. And remember that in the next 20, 30 years, this is going to be worthless. It's not going to mean absolutely nothing. because both sides want to exterminate each other, and both sides are cowards.
Well, that's also I don't think that's accurate either. Um, I mean, I don't. The idea that like there's like just the end result is one side just being slaughtered is just wrong.
No, of course. Right now, the situation is happening in the inverse. It's the Israelis wanting to genocide and ethnical cleansing completely the Palestine.
Right, and the people that do talk about exactly the people who do talk about that usually talk about it's the savages over in Gaza and the West Bank who want to do that to the Israelis. But then you look and like in reality, it's Israel doing that to the Palestinians.
And you know something? Why those words of my father stuck with me, and now I they're revolving my head because I take a moment of history in my own country in Costa Rica where we had a civil war, 48, 49, right at the end of the war. And at that civil war, we were killing each other off. And suddenly the leaders of each side, they went and met in Ochomolgo, which is a section in the northern part of the central part of the city, of the country, in the old capital, Cartago. And here you had the Communist Leader Party, the Pepe Figueres, who was the one who initiated the civil war, Calderon, who was the other side receiving the protecting the democracy against the rebels, blah blah blah. Yes, you had the Catholic Church, and everybody sat down and said, "What the hell are we doing, killing each other off? This is stupid." Okay, the side of the rebels, you pretty much won. We'll give you that. Let's construct something better. So, to me, in that sense, giving that example, what I tell you is, at the end of the day, this particular conflict, this issue that also emanates from one of the first attempts of the United Nations to start resolving issues, but they did it lackluster because there was their beginning and many other reasons. Because at the beginning there are so many interests, but adding to that fact, the internal conflict, the ethnical internal conflict that is guided by so many factors such as religious beliefs, political necessities, the seeking of power, the desperation of needing freedom on the side of the Palestinians, of wanting to be recognized as an independent nation, the right of determination, etc., and all those mixtures that has happened at this stage, adding the fact that the United States has utilized that area as pretty much their checkerboards of trying to build nations, we have a conflict that unless people are capable of eliminating their prejudices and their so-called traditions, etc., and realize that in order to obtain peace, the compromises have to be put there, and those compromises must be binding. So for the foreseeable future, we're just not going to have it, and it's not going to happen. Pretty much at this point, I'm telling you, Israel will commit a genocide. Palestine will
Oh,
be.
will I mean
They are
is right. Yeah, I
Palestinian.
feel like you're making. Like I said, I feel like the points you're making like are good, but like in a different reality.
Oh no,
Not
yeah.
in terms of like what you're saying should have been done. Like it's just not it's beyond that, and it's been beyond that for a while, but it's definitely beyond it now.
No, to be honest, look, all this conversation is, yes, me giving a more hopeful round of an analysis. But if you ask me right now, I'm gonna tell you straight out what how in the next year to 2 years, we're going to see this whole thing devolve. One, we're going to see a complete and utter destruction of the Palestine. We're going to see a complete exodus of Palestinians, even worse than the first Nakba. Um, Third, we're going to see a deterioration of Israel to then devolve into a pretty much a one-party rules everything type of nation, due to the effects that are happening uh, worldwide, and the support to Israel has pretty much become isolated to United States and some areas of Europe. Pretty much the rest of the world as well within Europe, we've seen that the recognition of Palestine as a nation is happening, and this will leave Israel in a very isolated section. But because of the United States, that isolation um, will not have that direct impact in their economy and in their development as a nation, etc. But what worries me more, or in the same level, is that we're also going to see a deterioration of the Middle East that will have two major consequences. One of them is the internal tribal conflicts that are there, and that will, with the disappearance of Palestine, will emerge bigger. The Islamic nations are going to want to close doors against liberal democracies, and we're going to see more repression happening within the Middle East of their governments toward their own people. But also, we're going to see the erection of a modern day iron wall in the Middle East. That is going to open the door
I
for more influences of Russia and China.
I think a lot. I mean, I that's I don't know what to say to. I mean, it's your what you are sharing here. Obviously, is like speculation that's pretty far out down the line. So I can't even be like no, or this is what I think, because I don't know. I've been listening to people like Ilian Pape,
Mm-hmm.
who over on the Majority Report last week, for example, we played a clip, and he seems to think that we are beginning to see the beginning of the end of Israel, which is on the flip side of how you're viewing things. Again, I think he also is, maybe looking well far down the line, but he sees this and the internal conflicts happening in Israel over the war to be sort of a breakdown of Israeli society.
The only difference I see on that point is that in that analysis, we have to always take in consideration the support of the United States towards Israel. Therefore, the disintegration of Israel as such is not plausible as long as the United States still holds it up. And regardless of who is the
Well,
president
I
in the
mean,
next
people,
election,
if people in Israel start leaving, which apparently we are seeing. I was reading that uh, Germany is seeing an influx of Israeli citizens of German background who are returning to or moving to Germany. Um, if people find that Israel is in fact not what it was set up to be, as some sort of safe haven for Jewish people, and in fact it makes it's even more dangerous, then people will leave. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying it's going to empty out, but
no.
there could become a point where it's just obvious decline in population, and something will have to change. Something will break.
Eventually, yes, that's a possibility. But in the same way that we've seen it with the situation of Venezuela, almost 8 million Venezuelans have exited the country. Has that in any way, shape, form, or manner in the past 15 years created the conditions of change in the political system of Venezuela? No, it hasn't. Um, I give that example as two political crises, and I can provide more. Somebody said, okay, let's attend the real issue. How do we stop the genocide right now? You can't. There's no stopping the ethnical cleansing and the genocide that is happening right now as long as the United States keeps holding the hand
Right.
of
That's
Israel.
the major addendum there. It can stop when the U.S. wants it to. Like that is actually what's holding it up. I mean, in the chat, Inako Sam says 8 more European countries just turned on Israel. I don't think the U.S. is going to be able to hold out under this type of pressure for long. They're
Oh,
referencing all the European countries that recently, Israel, Norway, excuse me, Israel, Ireland, Norway, Spain. What are the other ones? Did more joined? Again, maybe I missed it.
so
But
let's put it this way. No, that doesn't matter at all. What Europe is doing, yeah, we can applaud it, and it's fascinating, etc. But that will not generate any form of pressure against the United States to then change its fundamentals in regards of Israel. Why not? Well, I'll give you one simple example: modern day moral doctrine, simple and straight out. United States gives 10 bleeding hells what Europe does. The only thing that matters to the United States is the sustainability of NATO. And that sustainability of NATO, regardless of what's happening of Israel, it is going to continue. That being said, um, the we have to be realistic. If you really want change within the United States, you have to kill the bipartisan system. You have to create the models of pluralism politics and start positioning people who have a better vision in regards of that change that is required into the different political positions in your country. So basically, what we are saying is no, it's not going to happen because in the near future, we don't see the United States changing. In the near future, we only see the United States fracturing, and in the near future, we only see the continuing whoever reaches presidency, either Democrat or Republican, of the support towards Israel. Why is that? Because maybe United States, in a cultural sense, and in its influence and its political and towards its foreign policy, wants the continuing of Israel because it then justifies its own guilt-free ride that they've been having for the past 74 years in regards to this issue.
yeah, I mean, it's personally like I find it hard to focus on like the future right now because the obvious, um, and our discussion sort of pivoted that way, which is good. But like the obvious focus right now is this has to stop. What's happening right now in Gaza, and it is, you know, I don't know what it will take to get to that point. The U.S.
Um,
The Biden administration has consistently Biden has consistently kicked that can down the road, um, moving that goalpost of what the red line is to the point where I don't even know. I mean, it was clear that it never really was red line, but they're not saying that.
no, they're not saying that, but look, how it's going to stop is when Israel wants when wants it to stop, and when it wants it to stop is when it feels that they have virtually destroyed Hamas, which
Well, it's not
in their
happening,
words
right? That's not
is,
happening,
yeah, it's not happening, but in their words is destroying everything they can as fast as they can, etc. So
right?
at the end point, I will tell you this: within the next year, we're going to see the ceasefire, but that ceasefire is going to come at a high cost to the
Oh,
Palestinian.
it already has.
It already has. but it's gonna be even bigger. And in matters of looking to the future, man, that's my job. Right now, I have analysis in regards of that particular situation, but I'm also seeing the realities of Latin America, the elections happening on Sunday in Mexico, which have a high influence matters of in the United States. Depending on who arrives to the presidency, we're probably going to see a second round hitting off. I do see high possibility of the officialist candidate actually making it to the second round, but we'll see on Sunday. Things like, for example, what happened in Brazil with the floods, the death that is happening over there, the situation that is happening in Venezuela. Venezuela just recanted and told the European Union, we don't want you here observing our elections. So that signals me something that's going to happen that we've been expecting in Venezuela, things like that. So to me, the visualization of the future is second nature. I see what's happening, and I have information from everywhere, etc. And then I make my points um, of analysis in that sense. But right now, yeah, I mean, this is why I have to be realistic. The realism is this ain't gonna stop. There's nothing nobody else can do at this point to stop it until
Right.
Israel stops it. And that
Right.
moment when it stops it, the continuing of the accusations of genocide and etc. They have to continue, and they will continue. I do want to see Israel in one day in the court of ICC or CPI. That all those things will happen, but right now, immediately, things are gonna still escalate.
Right. All right. So I gotta move on to the next caller. I appreciate the call as always. Great conversation. Have a great night.
You too. Beshko Woblaba, my friend. Pura
Take
vida.
care.
Bye bye.
All right, let's go to the next caller. We had a few people trying to call in just now, and as usual, when I hung up on the here we go. They're calling back in. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh,
John from Kansas City.
hey, John from Kansas City. Can I pull your video up on the feed?
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Hey, John. Welcome to the show. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I know you're a kind of a video game buff, and so am I. So I was hoping to get your take on your kind of opinion on the video game culture that we're kind of going through now.
The funny thing is, I used to be a big gamer, but I would say of like the people I stream with, I'm probably the one who games the least. Although I do play a lot of Fortnite with my son.
Yes, same.
But yeah, I used to. I mean, I was growing up. I had the original NES, Super Nintendo, Virtual Boy, all the Nintendo systems, and even Game Gear, the original
Same.
PlayStation, PlayStation 2. I would say I sort of started falling out of like console gaming, like short, like right before Xbox One. But
Mm-hmm.
then my son got into games, and so now it's strictly Fortnite. But then I used to play a lot of Warcraft 3, not World of Warcraft. I was never big into MMORPGs. I was more into real-time strategy games. But in terms of gaming culture, that I have covered, even after my video game playing obsession ended. I it's been, I would say maybe a decade or so ago, I would have a more negative take. Now it seems like, those people who, the right wing sort of ideology that seeped into gaming, they're still there. But I
Mm-hmm.
would say it's like fractured. Like they're not as ingrained in the overall. I mean, I could be wrong. This is just my view of things. They're not as ingrained in the overall gaming culture. They're just like a group that's in it. Like when GamerGate, for example, was at its peak, like I felt like those bad actors were successfully sort of swaying people in gaming to their side. But now I feel like people, maybe not so much young people who aren't around for that, but most gamers are just like, I'm not into this stuff. I don't want this. I don't care. I just want to play video games and
Yeah, same.
enjoy like the gaming culture and the characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm more of like, oh, it's also my birthday today.
Oh, happy
just turned
birthday!
32. Thank you, sir. Um, yeah, I have to also say like I'm more because I was brought up on the like Nintendo era. Like I came from the same. We have sort of like a similar upbringing as far as Nintendo. NES, Super NES, gonna get me in trouble, but I will say I will defend the GameCube. I know that like in like
GameCube was fun.
2001, yeah, it's like that was like the one game system that I so wanted when I was like 10 years old.
I mean, that's the
And
game system that all my Mario Party memories with my brothers and sister are connected to. So there you go.
yeah, like Super Mario Sunshine was like my thing, man. I
Right,
mean,
it was a good game. Right.
yeah, and the console that I got when I got the GameCube for Christmas, I think it was 2002. It came with Mario Sunshine, and I was stoked. That was like my first game on the on the on the console. And
Right.
then of course like we got in I was kind of warming up to the Wii. Didn't like the Wii U. That's like the one console of Nintendo that I I would agree with you. Like I don't like that console. That was like a dip for Nintendo. And of course like the Switch is like that's like my second favorite over next to the GameCube. And I'm kind of psyched to see what I guess they're calling it the Switch 2. Apparently the successor that's coming out next year.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the details of that honestly. But I'm not a big Nintendo has fallen out of with me. I don't really play the
Mhm.
Switch. Like I said, most of the I actually am, I keep using my son as like the reason I
Mhm.
bring up playing Fortnite, and we do still play Fortnite together a lot. But I also play it when he's in bed too.
Yeah, I'm still learning to play Fortnite, I admit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got into it, and I play for the battle pass, and yeah. But in terms of like the gaming culture, like in terms of how it affects, I would say it's probably more positive now, honestly. And I
Mhm.
know like on when I do Leftist Mafia with Humanist Report and David Dole, and they play games,
Which I
and they
watch
bring up
nightly,
all
by the way, or try to.
right. Oh, thank you. And we talk about they're more ingrained in that stuff than I am now, but and they have lots of stuff to laugh and laugh at and complain about in terms of how those people are like that whole what was it that game where they were pissed that they updated the female characters, the woman
Trying to think.
characters like
Trying to think.
gear, and they were complaining that they wanted her to be scantily clad again or something like
Oh,
that.
my mind's blank. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think of
and
it.
people were like uploading like what was it? Like campaign videos to try to convince like speaking to the camera about why the
Oh,
developer needed to reverse their
I'll have to
decision.
look it up, but I might
Right.
know what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, even though that stuff still exists, I would say that I do think that in terms of video games as a culture has stayed. You still obviously have a whole industry in
Hmm.
YouTube reaction videos from right wingers who talk about how this went woke, that went woke, and blah 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 blah. Stellar Blade, thank you, Zoe. That's the game. Um, but I do think in terms of like the impact they have on the broader video gaming culture, I do think that has waned. I do think
Hmm.
people are aware of that cohort now and where like what they are doing, why they are doing what they do, and what their real purpose is behind it. And I would say the broader gaming culture is just turned off by it. I'm not saying they are more, left or socially aware, or they just think those guys are lame. And I think they just don't want to deal with that. Whether they agree politically with them or not, I think that's a different thing.
It's like beating an old dead horse, so to speak.
Right. It's like been there, done that. And I think like they actually do hurt their own thankfully they hurt their own messaging and everything. Because they go after anything now. Like it used to be, they used to play it a little. Their strategy used to be smart, right? Go after like a game that was hyped, but then bombed because it actually sucked when it came out. But blame it on like woke. Blame it on it was the female lead character, or the male character was black, or whatever, or
trans,
the female character was she weighed more than 80 pounds. You know. They used to find reasons to blame failing games, right?
Yeah.
And blame it on like social justice or whatever. But now they just go after anything. And when you go after a good game and complain that this game that everyone loves, and you're going after it because like the 3D boobs aren't jiggly enough for you, then people are just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This game is great. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, I find the whole thing just confusing and full of nonsense, to be honest with you. It's like everything in the right wing at this point is just woke or cancel culture or whatever buzzword they're using today.
Right. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's the same thing. It's like they go, whether it's critical race, CRT, critical race theory, or DEI, or it's woke, or whatever. It comes down to there's a black person in my game. There's a black person in my movie. There's a black person in my TV show. I don't like that. That's what it comes down to. Or if you want to even phrase it the other way around, a white male character isn't the center of attention in my favorite game, movie, TV show, whatever. That's what it comes down to. That's the complaint when we talk about like the culture, like pop culture, art, art and culture. That's the main complaint there. And they just find new ways to voice that so they don't sound just so overtly racist.
Yeah, they're just trying to like not use the buzzwords too much, or not trying to like sugarcoat it. Like
right. Well, they are trying to sugarcoat it the other way around. They are trying to sugarcoat it by using those words. Yeah, because they don't want to say like, I don't like that character is black. I don't approve. I don't want to be a black character who's a hero in a game. I don't want to be a woman who doesn't look like Lara Croft, who's a hero in a game. They don't approve of that.
And I bet you none of these people have ever played Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like, sure, like I would say, like the people who follow them, and they are gamers, but like the loudest of the voices, like the people leading the charge, the influencers and stuff, like most, not all, but most of them are actually completely clueless. They're not. They're posers. They got no idea what they're talking about. I think the other day I saw Libs of TikTok was talking about woke Nintendo because the character in Mario of Vivian, in the people were talking about what Mario was it again? I'm having a mental block. But there was
I think it was maybe the Princess Daisy or Princess Peach game,
or was
maybe?
it Paper Mario or Mario RPG? I can't remember. I'm not a fan. I wasn't a big fan of this Mario. I'm not that familiar with this Mario, but apparently there's a character in it, in the original version of it that came out decades ago, of Vivian, who is trans. And when they released it in the US, they kept the character's overall sort of identity, but they removed or changed the language they used to overtly basically had the character vocally saying they were trans, pretty much. And then in the re-release that just came out, they put the original from the Japanese game, the original dialogue back in the game. So the character is now still trans like they were in the original, but in the US version, they are now using the original dialogue that made that clear. and Libs of TikTok, who did not even know what a trans person was until like 4 years ago, according to her. Who apparently is also shockingly not a big video game fan. Had no idea about that. So they're, mouthing off about how Nintendo went woke.
Wow. I mean, I've heard about Libs of TikTok through the grapevine, and it's all not positive, and this just confirms.
You are a lucky person to just have heard of Libs of TikTok through the grapevine. I am jealous. That is that is a truly envious position. But yeah, I mean, it's like, I remember with Gamergate, like fucking Milo Yiannopoulos, this right-wing Breitbart writer, became like the hero of the right-wing Gamergate gamers. And literally right before Gamergate started, he just had like tweet after tweet actually openly mocking gamers as like newsers, like nerds, virgins, like just absolute hatred for them. And then he saw an opportunity where right-wing ideology could flourish there just a few months later. And all of a sudden he's standing up for the gamers. He's the hero of the Gamergate gamers. It's like, come on, this guy fucking hates you guys. He's never played a video game in his life. He's got no idea.
He's never even tried.
Right. It's like, but they when you fall down this rabbit hole, you lose all sense of I don't know, common sense, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for the call. Great call. Great to hear that you listened to Leftist Mafia, and feel free to call in any time. This was great conversation.
Yeah, like I finally know how to call in properly. That was me earlier. I guess I had I had to adjust my mic.
Oh yeah, I saw you, and I was like, oh no, he can't hear me. But I saw you were there. I was like, let me hang up. He'll figure it out, and you did. I'm glad you worked it out.
All right, thanks for taking my call, man. I appreciate
thank
it.
you for calling in. Have a great night.
You too, man.
All right, folks, let's go back to the phones. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is the rightful president of the United States. I'm calling about your previous call.
Whoa, Donald Trump calling in. How you doing, sir?
We're having a wonderful day. We're having a wonderful day here, and I just wanted to say that I am completely innocent, and your previous call holds a lot of information as to why I'm innocent.
I just gotta say, I'm gonna break this for a second. You can keep going, but I gotta say, I can see who's calling in, and this is a regular caller who is not our usual Trump impressionist. And this regular caller who is doing it sounds so much like the other caller. I was thrown off. I was like, is something wrong with Skype? Did they take the call from...
Matt, a lot of people have come up to me and said, wow, sir, you have the most beautiful breasts of anyone who has ever run for president. Lots of people are saying it to me. I can't quit hearing it.
Wow, this is amazing, because this is another really good Trump impression that sounds exactly like our other Trump impressionist, but it isn't.
Don't insult me. Don't insult me. Don't compare me to him. Don't insult my voice. You've played Super Mario Sunshine.
People are shocked. It's
Matt,
not
I have
Bob.
a question for you. Have you played Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube?
Whoa, Trump! I didn't know you were a gamer.
Lots of people have showed me video games, but have you ever played Super Mario Sunshine for the Nintendo GameCube?
It's been a while, but yes, I have.
Well, there's this scene at the beginning of the game. Mario and Peach are going. They just want to have a lovely vacation, and then they take him and they put him in jail. They put him in jail, and they say that he committed the crimes and that he put graffiti all over the island, and he didn't do it. It's the same thing with me. It's the exact same thing with me. There's an evil Trump. There's an evil Trump running around. He looks like he's made of metal or made of oil. We haven't found him yet, but we're going to get him. We're going to get him. We're going to bring him to justice, whoever he is.
Wow. All right. It's metal Trump out there.
somewhere. We've got to find him. We've got to find him, folks.
Well, it
He's
was
a danger to
metal.
the country.
It was Metal Mario in the game, and I feel like they went with the word metal because it sounds, it's a word that begins with M. It flows. So, what would it? Titanium Trump. I guess that's what we could. There's a titanium Trump out there.
You can tell I'm the good Trump because I'm thin. I'm the Ozempic Trump. But no, what I've got to, I keep trying to explain to the lawyers that there is a darker Trump who's running around and he's doing bad things and he's hurting a lot of people, and we've got to find him wherever he is.
A darker Trump?
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that he's darker than me, that I am the Trump of light and that he is the Trump of darkness.
Oh my God. All
but
right.
I've been trying to explain to people. I've been trying to explain this to people, and the judges won't listen to me, and they're going to put me in jail for things I never did.
Oh, so you think you're going to go to jail?
They're telling me they're going to put me in jail. They're going to take away my freedom.
Wow. Wow.
But hopefully, what I really need, they've been saying that Ozempic is making me shit myself in the courtroom. I can say it's not true. It's not true. If it were true, it would be quite similar to a flood. And we need to get a flood of some liquid or another that we're going to use. We're going to clean up all of the problems. We're going to take all of the darkness and all of the dirt in the country, and we're going to wash it clean, and there's going to be no more.
Interesting. That's that's quite the plan.
Everything's going to be better. Everything's going to be better. You put Trump in charge. You don't have little Italians running around ruining the world. In the game, he's got to fight Bowser. He's got to fight the turtle. He's got to defeat him. And I've got to say, Joe Biden looks a lot like a turtle. Have you ever seen his neck?
I guess he looks like
step on him.
I mean, I would say out of all, when I think of politicians that look like a turtle, the first that comes to mind is your buddy Mitch.
He's not my buddy. He's a rotten, sullen man. Nobody I've met has ever said a good thing about him. Everybody always says he's rotten. He's Moscow Mitch. That's what they're all saying. They're all saying he's Moscow Mitch.
Do you call him Moscow Mitch as well?
He goes. Well, a lot of people are saying it. I'm not saying it, but other people are saying it.
Right.
And they're all calling him. He tries to do a press conference. He stares off for 40 seconds. It looks like he shit himself. Nobody knows what's happening with his brain.
Nobody knows what's happening with his brain. Can I ask you a question, sir? Being that you've confirmed you are the Trump that's in the courtroom because you
Absolutely.
are because you are.
I think your other caller may be the evil Trump.
Right, maybe. But let me ask you, is it true? I've been hearing rumors that you've been falling asleep in court. Have I stumped you?
It's not my fault that these courts are the most boring things I've ever had to sit through in my entire life. I'm 80 years old, and they're making me sit in a room for 6 hours to listen to people talk about procedure. I don't want to hear it.
Aren't you arguing against yourself to become president of the United States if you can't handle sitting in a courtroom for a couple hours?
Well, look at what Sleepy Joe is doing. He wouldn't be able to do any better.
I know. I agree with you on Sleepy Joe, but let me Uno this back at you. Let me pull out my Uno card.
If you look at who's on the ticket, you've got to listen. A great man, Samuel Cedar, once said that it's not about the president, it's about the judiciary. It's about all of the people surrounding the president. You look at the person that Joe Biden.
Are you sure the real Trump would call Samuel Cedar a great man?
Are you saying that I'm not the real Trump?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know at this point. I would say the verdict is out.
I'm actually doing you a favor by calling in your show. You're a nothing. You're a nobody, and I'm calling in your show to try to give you some help so that you can get some audience and you can get some viewership when you're very clearly on a failing platform. You get
Be-
500
be-
views per stream. I went and I looked at the last stream, 1,960 views. You, what are you doing? What are you doing? And you're
Ben
gonna go
Empanada, is that you?
and help the president of the United States, who's called in to help you.
I appreciate you calling to help me, Mr. Trump, sir. What? Why do you want to help me though? If you hate me so much, or you disapprove of me so much?
I don't have anything against you. I'm just saying that you are the only man. You are the only man who can
I'm the
prove
only
me.
man.
You are. You are. I'm calling in because I need help. Somebody has to find out where the evil Trump is. I've been listening to your stream and I've heard a couple of different people calling in sounding like me, using my likeness and imitating me, and they're saying these horrible, horrible, horrible things. They're defamatory things. Really, I could sue you for libel. But what I'm saying is I need some help. We've got to find the bad Donald Trump so that we can clear all of this confusion up, and so that I can be president of the United States.
You're sure that this is the only thing holding you back?
I am absolutely certain. Absolutely certain. All of these lies that all of these rotten, horrible people have said about me are the only thing that distracts from really what is a fantastic record that I've had.
Ah, oh, well, that I'm sure that's news to some people.
I've got to say, you got to look at the judiciary. You've got to look at everybody surrounding the president. And when you look at Joe Biden, you look at his vice president, and she's mentally ill. She laughs like a crazy person. She shows up and she's talking about something about coconut trees and this and that. I've never heard this in my life before.
I like the coconut tree. I like the coconut tree.
Let this woman in the White House.
It's the most likable thing about her.
Well, I mean, you've got to admit, it's very amusing, but she shouldn't be the vice president. What are we going to do when Joe Biden dies in 2 years and she's the president? She's not ready for the job. There's a reason he's trying to run again. He's 81 years old.
Wow.
But you've got to look at Moscow Mitch. He's a terrible man. I've been saying that he's been a parasite on the bottom of Washington's foot for the last 50 years. And speaking of parasites, I think I might want to introduce you to my running mate.
Oh, the RFK Jr.'s brainworm?
Hi, Matt. I just wanted to say that I deeply regret the things that I said on last week's show. I think that they were anti-Semitic and that they were uncalled for. And
wait, hold on. Is this RFK Jr. or the brainworm?
This is Gerald. You think we're gonna let a liberal run and be the vice president of the United States?
Gerald? Who's Gerald? Who's Gerald?
Weeks ago.
I don't remember. Wait, is that the name of the brainworm?
Gerald the brainworm.
Oh, Gerald was the name of the brainworm? How do you remember that? I don't even remember that.
I've been trying to say maybe we went with the wrong guy. Maybe we went with the wrong left streamer. I don't think he's got the juice. He can't remember anything. Reminds me a lot of Sleepy Joe.
I think we should give him a chance, Donald.
Wow, I don't even know what to say right now. This is
I just want to say that I think I called you a Shabbat's goy during the last stream, and I realized that you were actually Jewish yourself, and I just wanted to say that it was completely inappropriate and uncalled for, and doesn't have a space in the movement that we're trying to build. And I know that somewhere out there's a 13-year-old Jewish boy who's watching your program, and I want him to be able to point at the screen and say, I want to grow up and be like Bobby Kennedy and spread anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
Well, I don't know about that, but wow, I am
It's a big world out there, Matt. It's a big tent.
I'm at a loss for words. I really am. I am this has been quite an amazing call. Both Donald Trump and RFK Jr.'s brainworm. We got a bunch of news here. For one, Trump is claiming that there is another Trump. The evil Trump, that's running around. Dark
It's
Trump.
True. It's exactly true. Just like the evil Mario was running around in Mario Sunshine.
Are you saying is there an equivalent to Wario for you then?
I believe that would be Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is your Wario.
He's big, he's fat,
boy.
he's mean. Everybody's told me that he smells just absolutely awful. He gets on his plane to go to a tropical island to look for treasure. All of his constituents are freezing to death in the cold.
Oh my God. All right. This is wow.
They're calling him Turncoat Ted.
Turncoat. Smelly Ted. I think that's what you got to go
Smelly
with now.
Ted. Smelly Ted. See, this is why I chose to call you, Matt. This is why you've got potential. This is why
I got
you've
the juice.
potential.
I got the juice. I got
Joe
the goods.
Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, is paying $80,000 for somebody to be his meme consultant. I think we can take you on, Matt. I think we can have you do a lot better than 500 people per stream.
How much you could pay? How much you could pay me?
Well, accounting for the legal fees because of all of these horrible things that people have, all of these horrible false things, false statements. If we win the election, I think we can get you a lot of money. We can get you a really nice cabinet position.
Oh, okay. But what about the meantime?
You will be taken care of. I can get you. I have a commemorative Trump Bible. It says right here. I've signed it right here.
So you're offering me a Trump Bible for months of work?
We are also selling Trump Torahs. Trump Torahs, we're calling it. It's the first. Lots of people would call it the Old Testament, but it's the Hebrew holy books. We sell it in a.
Oh, you were saying. I was trying to figure out what you were saying. I did not realize you were saying Torah.
We're selling it in English, Greek, and Hebrew.
Can you say Torah again for me, Mr. President?
It's the Trump Torah.
The Trump Torah. All right. Can you do me a favor? What's the book for people who practice the Islamic faith? What could you give me that one?
I don't believe that we've moved into that market yet. So get back to us in a week or two.
I mean that. Okay, got it. All right. My God, Trump Torah. All right. Thank you so much for calling in, Mr. President. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Have a wonderful rest of your stream, Matt. You can do this. We believe in you. Everybody in Trump headquarters is rooting for you. Take care.
Oh, are you? I appreciate that. What a call. Wow. And that was not Bob Carmody. I need to make that clear. This was great. I didn't know this individual had this in them. I'm impressed. All right, let's go back to the phones. Oh, I just hung up on everybody. My bad. Humanist Report rated me. Thank you so much, Humanist Report. And hello to all of Humanist Report's viewers. You might know me. You might not. Follow me if you're not already following me on here. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, man?
Oh, it's Hansi. Here we go. How you doing, my friend? What's up?
What's going on, man? No, listen, man. What's it called? It's another dude. It's like every day I wake up, I'm like, oh my god, is it fucking done already? It's like, is life over? You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just be, I have a sleep apnea machine, so I feel my dreams are more lucid, and I'm enjoying my dream world a lot more than I am, like, the actual fucking world. I feel like whatever's happening in the dream world is gonna, like, manifest into our real world eventually. You know what I mean? I don't know, man.
I hope so. It's I hope.
Are you a believer? Like, I know you're not a conspiratorial guy, but one of my conspiracies is that our dream world is like an alternate reality where we all kind of interact in our dream world sometime. You know what I mean?
You're not gonna like this answer, Hansi. I'm not. I
No, you
don't.
don't. Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't believe in anything like that. I don't believe in the
I know you're not
paranormal. I don't
spiritual.
believe in not spiritual.
That's pretty boring though, man. I gotta admit,
Um,
it's pretty fucking boring. To tell you the
if you
truth.
can't feel it, if you can't see it, if you can't smell it, if you can't hear it, then I hate to tell you, it's
See,
not.
this is why me and you will like never see eye to eye on this shit. Like, I'm not saying you should be religious or anything like that because I'm not a religious fucking person. But to actually have the audacity to think that like we're so fucking perfect that what to call it, this is all there is. I just think that's selfish to think about. You know what I mean?
Well,
There has
that's
to
not.
be.
That's not humans being perfect. That's just what. And I don't think that's all there is. I think that's downplaying what like take away obviously the terrible stuff that people do, but like the world is a beautiful place. Like think about the animals, the nature, the natural resources, the world around you. It's actually quite incredible. I don't think that's boring or
No, no,
uh but I
the world
digress.
the world one second. The world is like no, I'm not saying it isn't unique or anything like that, but like I do think that there is like I feel like this is probably why what the called I have the wherewithal that I have of the overview. I feel like because I have nobody giving me information, right? So I feel like people in the elite world have been giving me messages to basically be the messenger for this world right now, basically. You know what I mean? That's probably why I come up with the scenarios that I come up with, I guess. You know what I mean? I've interacted with a lot of fucking. I've interacted like, dude. There's one time right where somebody knew about the dream that I was talking about, and this is what convinced me that it was a mutual spot. Because I remember in 2010, I always used to go, okay, your dreams are just fucking stupid shit, whatever, right? But there was one dream about a dystopian future, and it was Dick Cheney riding a fucking elephant with wings. And I was fucking scared out of my fucking mind. And then I mentioned it to someone I know, and he's like, dude, I had that same fucking dream, whatever. So part of it was like, dude, are we living in an alternate reality where there's, I was scared 'cause I'm like, Dick Cheney can't fucking have that technology, right? He can't have an elephant with wings that will be trying to trample on Toronto people in Toronto, right? I had to make sure about that. So my dreams over the years have become more fucking lucid, man. You know what I mean? As somebody that's clinically died a couple of times because of sleep
What?
apnea. Well, because
Oh,
I've sleep apnea. I literally I literally died, whatever, like
well,
multiple times, whatever.
well, please stop dying, please.
Well, I had the machine. Well, that's what I'm saying. Matt, even if you don't have sleep apnea, you should try to use a machine one night because what they call like if you let's say for example go to sleep at like let's say 5 in the morning and you wake up at 7, you'll feel like you had an 8 hour sleep because of the fucking air that's constantly flowing in your sleep, whatever. So to me, it feels like I get 20 hours sleep when it's only like 4 or 5 hours, maybe.
Right, right. I think
You know,
I see what you're saying about that. That actually, out of everything you've said, using the sleep apnea machine, the breathing machine, to have a better sleep probably is the most legit. I believe you on that one.
no, you're a rock.
I like how you were like, listen, man, I have the craziest dreams. Dick Cheney with wings, flying through the air, and, this and that, all these crazy things. Then you're like, listen. And then you go, listen, you may not believe me, but using the breathing machine will really help you sleep. Oh, that sounds crazy.
Well, listen. Since you're turning your show into a sports entertainment show with impressions, bro, I thought I'd come here and start juggling for you. You know what I mean?
Oh
No,
yeah, sure. Listen,
no, no,
I,
no,
I, I do I do actually really appreciate the call-in shows when we do this, and even just like when I do a regular show and we have the second half with the calls. I do appreciate the fun calls because sometimes we do need to just like wind down and sort of just get out of this mode that we're in of all seriousness all the time, just for our own sake.
yo, I know you're more of a hip hop fan, right? But I like all kinds of music, right?
What did you
So
say?
watching
I'm more of a hip hop fan.
Yeah, I'm more because
Oh, you
I've
are.
gone
You
before.
are. I thought you said you thought I was.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. I know you're a rock and punk fan, but
Well, not
are
rock.
you
I don't like rock and roll. There's
so
nothing.
wait,
There's nothing worse than modern rock.
no.
Rock music. Ugh.
Well, listen, I like all of it, but no, I want to ask you: are you familiar with a '90s band called Cake?
Of course.
Was it no? Okay, so because I discovered them because of Sopranos, and I've been going over their discography. Like, and again, I like discovering old music and like whatever, right? And I'm about like all kinds of genres and all that. If you can pass me along good fucking music, I'll listen to it, like Bob Dylan and shit like that, whatever, right? But I've also got to say, I gone through Cake's discography. This guy, the main singer is like a very unique kind of dude. I want to know if it was a cool band or if I'm just a fucking loser like discovering this now, whatever.
No,
So
Cake was a very popular group. Are they still together? I'm assuming. Yeah, I mean, I was never a big fan, but they definitely were like legit. In like the '90s, they were huge. I think.
okay, so yeah, no, because I don't know if you started to watch Sopranos yet. 'Cause I know I keep telling you to, but like I discovered a lot of like punk and rock bands or like a lot of old school type of bands. Like for example, I've gotten more over the last couple of years. I gotten into the Kinks. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that now we're talking. The Kinks is a great band.
So that song where it goes yeah, so in the show they use like for example that song Not Like Everybody Else.
Yeah, of
And
course. Yep.
the live version is what everyone uses because it's such a great live version, because the actual studio version is not, like, I don't think it's that fucking great. It kind of sounds a little monotone for me. So
Mm-hmm.
in the Sopranos, towards one of the episodes, they use a live version of the Like Everybody Else, and it's like that's my fucking theme song, man. Like that's like if you're gonna like do like a whole video package of me like debuting in AEW or something like
Wow.
that. Like not like everybody else would be like I practice the karaoke version of the live version every single day for some reason, man. I love that song to death, man.
Let me tell you, my dad would be very happy to hear this conversation if he's watching right now. Yes, he is. He just commented, "God save the Kinks." That's his favorite band. I have seen the Kinks. I've seen Ray Davies, Dave Davies multiple times with my dad as a kid. It's his favorite of all time. He is a true Kinks obsessed fan. And I am also a fan, not as obsessed as he is, but I am a fan. So he's very happy to hear you saying this right now.
Okay, so wait,
They are an extremely influential band. They are one of the original. They're one of the British invasion bands, along with like the Who and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. But they usually don't get the acknowledgement because they were a little bit more like punk. They were a little bit more like edgy than those bands were in terms of their music style. And a lot of their songs got covered, and people know their songs from the covers, but they don't realize it's the Kinks that it's their song.
crazy. No, that's crazy. I like discovering stuff like that. That's why that's another reason why when I watch I mean, listen, a lot of shows have good music, but I felt the way that Sopranos has implemented music, I felt that I started liking a lot of the songs. That's how I discovered Cake and the Kinks, whatever, and all that. Also, have you? This is a newer band, and they're actually, people compare them to the Clash, and compare them a little bit to um the what's it the guys that go, hey ho, let's
The
go,
Ramones?
yeah, what they called, those guys. It's called, have you heard of Dead Letter?
Sounds familiar. Hold on.
Dude, these guys are really really fucking good, bro. I got you gotta look. And they have a pretty decent message, man. Pop culture connoisseur, declaration.
I'll have to check them out. They do sound familiar. I don't know if I've heard them before though.
I think listen. I'm not the best judge of like music outside of hip hop. I just like different. Like if you introduce me to, like, that's why I like when I listen to hip hop and I can find out a sample of what they sampled, and it's like a soulful song, like Curtis Mayfield and all that kind of stuff. I start going through some of the fucking samples and listening to those songs. You know what I mean? So that's why I've always liked hip hop, because whether it be a rock song or a soulful song and all that kind of stuff, they've always been good samples for me to like then discover other bands. When I listen to back in the day when I listened to music, man, I just thought whatever was on the radio and whatever, like I didn't know the concept of albums. I just thought whatever was on the radio, that's what fucking songs were. And I never thought we're gonna have discussions about it. So I never thought it was like a big fucking deal until I started getting the internet, and then I started getting into hip hop, and I started fucking downloading shit like that, whatever. But like I never thought, like I thought like whatever your song was on the radio, that's what your song was. I didn't know you had albums and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know the concept of that. I back in like '93, bro, I was just listening to because my parents used to have Bollywood movies, so I would get Bollywood fucking mixtapes, and that would be what I listened to while everyone listening to hip hop and listening to rock and Nirvana and all that kind of Metallica and all that shit. And I'm listening to like Bollywood fucking soundtracks for Indian movies and shit. Like that would be what I would be listening to and shit. So I never really got into the whole music thing until like in like late high school, like late in high school and shit. And then I started like just listening to hip hop more, and then I got into that. But I'm open to like listening to like every single thing. Like you give me a good fucking band to listen to, I'll fucking listen to it. You know what I mean? I'll go over the music and shit, because I kind of I find myself as I get older that I'm enjoying more fucking genres of music. I'm not an expert like everybody else is. That's why I had to come and ask you about Dead Letter, because they're a really really good band from the stuff that I've listened to.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming from where I think that helps too. Like it's not like you were like just you it seems like you were listening to interesting stuff growing up, and that obviously plays a role in obviously not the radio stuff, but everything else though.
Well, I mean, no, but like, but the radio stuff would lead me to eventually discovering it. But like, that's what I used to think that was only music. Like, I didn't know that like Snoop Dogg had an album. I thought his only song was Snoop Doggy Dogg, What's My Name, and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know he had a whole album, so I never really understood the concept of albums and all that kind until the internet came out. And then I got everybody went through their Napster phase and shit, where you're downloading all kinds of fucking music and networking class. And I gotta be in networking class downloading a lot of songs on Napster and shit because we had cable internet over there, right? I had 56K modem at home, and it'd take me a half hour to download fucking Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison or some shit like that. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? But like, then I got cable internet, so it's crazy. Did you ever use IRC, by the way?
No. I did not.
No,
I was a little bit after that.
Okay, so IRC used to have these channels where you just make a command and you can download a bunch of fucking albums and shit. So like I would go on there a lot of times and all that. You know what I mean? So I would get compilations of stuff that wasn't officially. So like I was out of date with it. So I find myself listening to.
I did have ICQ.
Did you have ICQ?
I did.
I thought that wasn't. See, I didn't think that was big in America. I thought that was only a Canadian thing.
No, it was. It actually wasn't super big here. It was big overseas, like not even just Canada. It was big in like Russia and China. But I did have it because early on it was really just for like the early internet, like online set. IRC was a little bit before my time. I was a little bit too young for that, because I just. Let's put it this way: IRC was probably was online at the same time IRC was big, but it was a little bit probably beyond me at the age and experience, internet on computer experience I was at.
What's it called? This is how when I got on the internet, right? When I got on the internet and I got into IRC and being in the chat, I was in the wrestling channel. And this is how much Jericho was an internet fan, because I only knew about WWE. So I walked onto the internet not knowing about like the Japanese wrestling or ECW. So when I would be talking about WWE, a bunch of the wrestling people in IRC would be calling me Mark. And I didn't even know what that insult was. But then Jericho basically did a fucking a Q&A in the wrestling channel, and I was there for it. And I didn't know who the hell Chris Jericho was. People got mad at me because I didn't know who Chris Jericho was. So then when I saw him in '96 in WCW, and you remember in WCW at first, he was just a generic good guy that would have good matches, but he really wouldn't be much of a fucking character. So I never liked him based off of how people treated me on Iron C and whatever, right? So then I finally saw how good he was when he finally became a fucking heel in WCW. Because when he became a heel in WCW, I don't think. By the way, when he went to WWE, I don't think he ever matched that heel side of him in WCW in WWE, because I thought he was just popular in WWE, but I don't think character wise he ever
Right.
became that good as he was in WCW as an actual character.
No, I think you're right in terms of, yes, he was too popular and too loved in WWE to even ever really be the hated heel that he was in WCW.
It's fucking nuts, man. With the cold, have you been keeping up with any of the wrestling shit, or are you taking a break from it?
I've been keeping up with it. I missed both pay-per-views over the weekend. This past week, it was my daughter's birthday on Friday, and then she had a birthday party for her friends on Saturday, like with her friends on Saturday. She turned 5, and so just spent the weekend doing family stuff. And so I didn't want to, like, I would go online just to keep up with the news, but I didn't post or really get involved with anything, because then I know that I'm gonna get involved, and I just didn't want to. It was time to spend with my family and my daughter, and it was a long weekend too, so I was just like, I'm gonna obviously pay attention to what's going on, because I don't want to feel out of the loop, but I'm not getting, I don't feel like posting.
No, I get you. If anything, I'll say that the matches that, like, if you get a chance to go seek out, I would say Gunther and Orton and Logan and Cody. And then from AEW, I would watch the Brody and Edge match from the steel cage barbed wire.
I did see the surprise at the end, because I am a huge fan of the Brood. I thought it was one of the coolest wrestling gimmicks of all time. Specifically, my favorite in the Brood is probably the one who is nobody's favorite, Gangrel. I really was a big Gangrel fan. I'm not a fan of goth gimmicks. I'm not a fan of, like, dark. I'm not a fan of that stuff. But what set Gangrel apart is that he didn't look like a guy pretending to be like a weird guy, like a weird goth guy. He actually looked like a fucking legit vampire. He didn't look like he was playing a role. I don't even just mean the fangs. I mean, like, his actual, like, facial features look like how vampires are portrayed in classic vampire movies. And I was always like, this dude looks like a legitimate fucking vampire. This is an awesome gimmick.
No. I'm actually surprised that he didn't end up becoming, like, more credible in, like, I don't know. I just felt WWE, like,
WWE dropped the ball with him. WWE has always dropped the ball with those characters. A vampire character in the late 90s when, like, Blade was huge and stuff. No doubt about it, been fucking huge if they committed to him. Same thing in the late aughts, the late 2000s, where Pirates of the Caribbean was huge, and fucking Paul Burchill had the Pirates of the Caribbean gimmick.
Yeah, that was cool too.
Like fucking, he looked like Johnny Depp in that movie. His entrance had him swinging into the arena on a rope. It was legitimately awesome, and Paul Burchill was a good wrestler too. And they did not know what to do with with him, and they dropped the ball on him when he could have been the biggest fucking thing.
Other guy they dropped the ball with, and again, I'm not saying WCW's run with this guy was completely awesome also, but WCW did better with this guy. I thought they dropped the ball with Raven when he finally showed up in WWE. I don't think no one ever matched what he did in ECW, but at least in WCW, at least they for like a good year, they made him have a stable behind him. They had, like, some credibility to some degree, but I felt they didn't fucking get the job done properly with Raven. That's someone that I wanted to see become a world champion in either WCW or WWE. But in WWE, all he was I was a part of ECW, and I'm gonna do hardcore matches and shit like that. You know what I mean? That's what he was in WWE when they brought him back. He was. I don't know if you watched in the early '90s when he was Johnny Polo in WWE.
Yes, Yes.
That's how he was Adam.
See,
Cole.
Raven's another character, like you're saying. Raven's another character that fantastic in WCW, and then WWE ruined him.
But toward the end of WCW, they weren't really utilizing him in WCW the most that they could either. Like after like the initial Raven flock broke up, I felt like toward like do you remember what you know how like the original Raven was about like he's a tortured fucking person, right? And then in WCW in '99, they brought in Sandman as hardcore hack, and there's a bunch of sketches that show you that Raven's whole tortured persona, it was all a fucking front because he came from a really, really wealthy family. Do you remember those sketches?
Yes, I do.
What it called? See, I thought that was
and he was like his cousin or something. Hack was his cousin or something.
No. That chick from ECW named Chastity.
Chastity, yes.
Was his sister, and Hack was her boyfriend.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So see, I didn't watch ECW. I don't know if you watched it when it was coming on, like in the mid '90s and all that. So that was my introduction to Sandman, essentially. You know what I mean? Like this is what everyone on the internet's going wild. Well, actually, you know what? No, that's a lie. I saw Sandman when they originally invaded WWE in '97 for that fucking. Remember they had that little mini invasion angle in WWE in '96 and '97 where they had some confrontations with Jerry Lawler, and I was hyped up because I thought that they were gonna actually do a WWE versus ECW feud, and nobody came out to help Jerry Lawler when Lawler was like, "Oh yeah, I got friends that'll come out to help me," and nobody came out to help him basically. But I remember the whole ECW roster essentially was there to confront Lawler because they're doing some invasion angle and shit.
Yeah, I think I remember. Right, I remember that.
Were you an ECW guy like before? Were you?
Oh,
I know you're an American.
I was a big ECW fan. I attended a lot of the Elks Lodge shows. I was probably, my dad would take me. I was probably like the youngest kid there. I was probably like 13 at the ECW shows, which was definitely not a place for 13-year-olds.
So was there like a lot of wild shit going on in the crowds, or like anything wild ever happened when you were
my first ECW show at the Elks Lodge, and my dad will remember this. The Dudley Boys we were on the floor seats, and we had to stand on our seats at times to see over the people there. Sometimes they're big people, and the Dudley Boys were in the ring. And they were doing their usual thing, mocking the crowd. Like literally, they would show up in the ring, and Bubba Ray Dudley would roast specific people in the audience, like legit people who came to watch the show, because he was a heel, he's a bad guy, and he was roasting some guy in the balcony, and the guy climbed down the balcony and fell on my dad.
Oh, really?
And Atlas security had to run over to check on my dad, and like my dad was fine, but they're like, "Are you okay, sir?" And like, that was my first ECW show.
What show have you attended at ECW where like the most notable thing happened? Like, do you remember
Oh, I was there when the Dudleys were leaving, and Raven returned.
Oh shit, dude, that was a really good return, by the way. That was a really good. I remember that was like, because again when they started debuting on TNN, they had
yeah.
That's nuts, man. That's nuts. So you went in so you went in so you went before it turned into complete, like I wouldn't say it turned to shit completely, but like when all the main people basically left for WWE, it was like the writing was.
Oh no, I saw Taz there. I saw Tommy Dreamer, Shane Douglas, Bam Bam Bigelow. I was there when what was his name? The judge guy. He was managing Psycho Sid, who showed up in ECW.
Mike Jones, right?
Judge Jones, yes. Judge Jeff Jones. I think that was his name.
Yeah, Jeff Jones. Yeah.
Right. I got to see Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome multiple times.
Oh
Honestly,
shit, dude! See, those matches are insane.
those are I was there for both ECW one night stands. That I don't consider I consider that to be legit. That those two shows felt a lot like the old ECW, but I don't really count them as part of when I say I went to I got to see Sabu, got to see RVD obviously, the Blue World Order, all those guys. Man. Yeah, it was Rhino obviously. Yeah, it was the Dudleys, New Jack.
Oh shit!
I have a great memory of New Jack, because for the Elks Lodge shows in Queens, that's where ECW would hold the shows, at the Elks Lodge in Queens, right off Queens Boulevard. They were all, unless you had, I think, I'm not sure if the first row was reserved or not, but if it was, other than that, it was entirely general admission. So you would have to buy tickets, and you'd have to show up early to get good seats, which is great because that meant A, you didn't have to pony up a ton of money to get good seats. It was the same price no matter what. But it sucked because B, you had to get there early and wait online for hours before the show if you wanted really good seats. So we did that though. You know, I was in like junior high school. Nothing better to do on like a Friday evening than leave school and go right to the Elks Lodge and hang out there until the doors opened. So one of the first times we were there, we're waiting, and again, Elks Lodge is right there on Queens Boulevard. Now, Queens Boulevard, if you're not familiar in New York City, it is this huge street traffic area, multiple lanes of traffic going both ways. Its nickname is the Boulevard of Death because a lot of people have died crossing that street. And at the time, it was probably even more dangerous because now at least they probably have more lights and crossing spots for pedestrians. But so we're waiting outside, and New Jack is walking across Queens Boulevard. He went across the street. There was like a KFC there or something, and he's got his lunch or dinner, whatever I don't know, maybe 5 o'clock, maybe it was dinner. And he's walking across, and people notice him, and everyone starts running into Queens Boulevard to meet New Jack as he's crossing the street, and he's like, "What the fuck, are you all crazy? What are you doing? You want to get killed?" He's like yelling at them to get out of the street. It was funny. It was very funny.
How was when New Jack comes for a match, right? They play the fucking Natural Born Killers. How was like that environment being there live for like the New Jack matches and shit?
That song playing while New Jack was hitting people over the head with garbage pails and grating people's foreheads with a cheese grater and stabbing Balls Mahoney in the head with a fork. That was quite the experience. Yes. Again, probably looking back, probably not a place for a 12, 13-year-old, but thanks for taking me, Dad. I got these good memories.
Dude, honestly, man, if I could ever go back in time, bro, one of the things I would want to do is go back to an old ECW show somehow. I hate how I never got a chance to go to an ECW show. 'Cause I never get to go. I mean, they came to Canada like in 99 or 2000, whatever, before they shut down for one show, and I never get a chance to go. It was at the Hershey Arena nearby, whatever, and all that, and I didn't get to go, and I fucking regret it. But it was like all the main guys were already in WWE, so it's like I didn't really go. Okay, there's no point of even going because I'm not part of the heyday anymore. But if you're,
I would say my bit, I got lucky. I was there, but it does suck that I was like young, and I don't really like. Obviously, I remember it was an experience I remember. But I don't remember things as vividly as, let's say, like if it was like maybe like if I was like 10 years older, for example. If I was in like my early 20s, I probably would have much more vivid, better memories of it all.
So wait a minute, you're there for the second one night stand. So how was that environment being there when they're throwing the shirt back to John Cena and shit?
Oh, it was awesome. Like the whole, I that's what got me back into wrestling. After ECW closed in 2001 and WCW closed in 2001, and WWE bought both companies, I was excited because of the invasion angle. Finally, people who don't know,
Yeah.
WWE was the big company and WCW was the big company, and ECW was like the third place company. And WWE won the wars, the ratings wars, and WCW and ECW both went out of business, and WWE bought them both. And people were excited at the time because WWE was setting up an invasion angle where WCW and ECW were going to, the wrestlers were going to invade WWE as if those companies still existed. And we were going to finally see these dream matches between wrestlers who were with different companies that previously we weren't able to see before, because it wasn't a wrestling storyline. These were different companies. They did not integrate. They did not have matches together. But now they were all under one company. We were going to get it. Well, WWE, at the end of the day, even though they owned both of those companies now, they didn't want to they didn't want to make the other wrestlers look good when wrestling their wrestlers. So even though they owned all the companies now, they still only wanted their original WWE talent to win against WCW and ECW guys. So the invasion angle sucked. It was just basically these guys that you love from WCW and ECW just being fed to WWE guys. I actually fell out of wrestling for a little bit after that. I was just so disgusted by it. And then the ECW One Night Stand return, where WWE brought back the old ECW for one night in 2005, and then they did it again in 2006. That 2005 show brought me back into it. I was like, oh my God, they're bringing back old ECW with all the actual old guys who didn't even go to WWE when they bought the company. I'm back. I'm in.
The other key thing about the invasion that you missed out on is that they made their guy Stone Cold be the head of the invading guy. Here's the thing. By storyline wise, I didn't mind that, because the thing is, in storyline, right? Why would Austin give a shit about the danger of WWE when Vince McMahon, throughout the whole time of his career, was trying to ruin him? So What I thought was going to happen was Stone Cold was going to take WCW side, and then you would reveal that the NWO were actually working for McMahon. So you'd have the NWO against some of the guys like Austin and all that, but you would have Hogan back in his rightful spot with Vince McMahon, because they could reveal, yeah, I sent them to WCW to take them out. Essentially, that's what I.
They sort of hinted at that being the whole idea when Vince finally ponied up the money for Hogan and Nash and Hall, well after the invasion angle was over. But he was like, I'm gonna inject the poison, and he sort of hinted I mean, he didn't say it outright. Maybe I was the one who looked too much into it, but
I did too.
But the hint was, oh, he did that to WCW with the NWO, and now he's gonna do it to his own company because of the angle that was going on where Ric Flair took over, right? That's why he did it, right? Yes, that was the angle.
After they beat WCW in the invasion, then when it was all done, they announced Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon sold their shares to Ric Flair. And then I was pissed about that, because I was like, you could have used Flair in the whole fucking angle in the summer leading up to all of this shit. And you know what I mean? You could have done so much more. This is what I thought was.
Well, there was a lot of guys they didn't bring into the company when WCW closed from WCW that would have greatly helped the invasion angle if they cared, but they didn't care. And then they're bringing them in anyway. Goldberg, Scott Steiner, Rey Mysterio, the NWO. All these guys would have been huge in the invasion, and they didn't bring them in.
No, but all those guys, here's the thing, they should have waited a year to do it. All those other big guys were on Turner contracts, and they weren't with WCW contracts.
No, I know that, but WWE could have bought it out if they wanted to. They were just too cheap. But I think the money they would have made from having those guys as part of the invasion angle would have more than made up for whatever they spent.
what's it called? What I thought was gonna happen after the original invasion failed, right? I thought when they brought Bischoff back and they started bringing in NWO and they started bringing in Scott Steiner and Goldberg, I thought we were gonna Bischoff was gonna go. Now the real invasion starts, not that other bullshit with Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, because I'm the genius behind WCW, and I thought it was gonna be a real invasion. I thought like that one was just a way for WWE to get a couple of months of like, yeah, we won, whatever. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think once they made ECW and WCW aligned together in that same night that you established ECW, I thought the angle was basically done. And then when Austin
that sucked too. That sucked too. Also because, like, listen, in the hierarchy of all the companies, the ECW would have way more likely sided with WWE. They were WCW and ECW were the exact opposites. There's no world they would have been on the same side.
Yeah, I know. Well, at least we got that one promo from Paul Heyman. Remember that one promo before Survivor Series where Paul Heyman basically told Vince McMahon about, like, you put everyone out of business, your own kids hate you, you flaunt your affairs in front of your wife.
Right.
Like that promo was actually still one of my favorite promos that Paul Heyman cut. And then, like, he goes, look at Taz, you made him a fat ring announcer and he's not even that good. And then Taz started choking Paul Heyman out. So that, I thought that was a good fucking promo. But listen, bro, I'm glad I went down the music and wrestling thing with you.
I'm glad too. I really gotta start a wrestling show. I really enjoy the wrestling conversation, and I feel bad because, there are obviously people who are enjoying it too, but I do think I lose a portion of my audience when I go too far down the wrestling rabbit hole on this show.
That's cool, man. I appreciate you, man. It's good to talk about music with you. Like, but check out when you get a chance. Check out Deadletter and let me know if you think they're a good band. Cause I want to know what your opinion is because you're more familiar with that kind of music. But people say it's like punk rock, whatever, and all that. So
I'll check them out for sure. Thanks, Hansi.
Peace out, man.
Have a great night. All right, folks. Let's. I don't think there's any more calls. Maybe people dropped off because that was a nice long call. But let me go to the super chats, and I got Majority Report tomorrow. I got Leftist Mafia tomorrow. Let me thank the patrons again. We got another caller. Let's take this call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It is Kowalski. Can you hear me?
Hey, Kowalski, how you doing? I can hear you. Ooh, you're on the tractor.
Yes. In about 1 hour, I will be done planting.
Ooh, night farming.
Yes, but when I mean done, I mean that's it. Planting season is over.
Oh, really? And so you're on vacation?
No, then I have to do the real work.
Oh, what's the real work?
That's when you got to keep all the plants alive until harvest.
Yeah, you don't got to do that.
I'm starting to think this whole agriculture thing is a giant pyramid scheme to create unsustainable growth of the human population until it consumes the planet.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Well, unlike your other callers, that's all I wanted to share. Good vibes. Because once this is done, it's done. And
you should have campaigned with these videos. Like you should have like literally like you should have campaigned like this, like for calling into shows like those. I saw you did like local news interviews. You should have done them like on the tractor trailer.
Oh wait, you guys are about to see the sprayer go by.
Whoa, what is that? It like flew by. What is that?
That is my brother, an 120-foot wide sprayer. That thing is worth more than this planter and tractor and me combined.
Wow, how much is it worth?
I think $700,000.
Oh my God! Wow, holy! Why so much?
There are 36 high definition high-resolution cameras that can detect weeds. So as the thing drives through the field, it can scan the field, and if it sees a weed, spot sprays it. So instead of having to use a ton of fertilizer or herbicides, it's literally like having someone out there with a spray bottle. They just point, click, done.
Wow. I gotta say,
very
Kowalski, I don't think I fully appreciated your farming game here. This whole time I thought you were just like, a little, a little, a little farmer with his own. It's your job, and you have a nice big size farm, but like, doing stuff the old fashioned way. I didn't realize you had a $700,000 piece of equipment.
Oh, I do not own that. My brother owns that, and technically the bank owns that.
Got it. Okay.
So,
does your brother have his own farm?
Well, from a technical standpoint, I farm with him. He might say I farm for him, and then I have my own cattle. So.
Oh, okay. So it's family land?
Yeah, pretty much. I made the executive decision when our uncle passed to not ask to inherit anything because I do not have any prospects of having children. The inheritance thing is kind of weird here, and I like my nieces and nephews. So.
Wow, very nice uncle. I would not have been so kind.
Well, you see, that's because of the difference in generation. I was raised with Uncle Phil and Uncle Iro on Nickelodeon, whereas I guess you had like Uncle Star from The Lion King. So...
Oh, right. Okay. I mean, I also, I don't know. I also grew up with Uncle Scrooge, I guess, from DuckTales. I don't know. I mean, wow. What? Wow. So wait. So, if any executive decision needed to be made for the farm, that would be your brother to make that decision, not you.
It depends. My input is probably the most valuable. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's his call, and I mean that means if there's anything that goes wrong, it's still somehow on me. But I can still do I told you so.
Oh, honestly, Kowalski, I gotta say, it seems like a future. This arrangement seems like a future problem in the making.
It's not a future problem in the making. We get along like Cain and Abel.
I don't know. Things happen in families when it comes to money. I say that from experience, not myself,
Whoa.
but from other family members.
Financially secure, my friend. The house is mine now, and
okay, so you do own land though. You do own land there then.
Just the house. I will be buying land soon. It's this whole process, but the house is mine outright. So I don't have to do that stupid thing where you guys do rent.
The land.
That would be dumb.
The land your house sits on, who owns that?
Me.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah. So, but because I own it, I just pay taxes on it. Unlike you people with your mortgages and your rent. Like, why would you do that?
Listen,
just buy it.
I am in that same mindset of what a waste it is to rent. Would love to buy. There is one teensy-weensy problem that's holding me back, though, and that's money.
You don't live in Nebraska.
I don't live in Nebraska, right. Nor do I own a farm or have a farm in the family.
Well, what the hell was your dad doing his whole life?
Yeah, I know, Dad. He's in the chat right now. Why don't you have a farm?
Maybe instead of getting beaten up at WWE matches or whatever, he should have been out there tilling the land.
Right. I agree. Instead of getting my dad to get the way you said it made it sound like anyone just tuning in now, they must be like, wait, Matt's dad stepped in the ring? Like he was a wrestler? Yes. It's one of the negatives of being born and raised in New York City. You don't own anything. I just, imagine just like imagine having that foresight, that knowledge to like just buy a building in Manhattan in like I don't know, the 70s or something like that. Man, oh man, how set you would be right now.
I mean, you're literally describing the Trump strategy. He bought a lot of his real estate when the city went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Seriously, what were your forebears thinking?
I don't know, man. I look back and see some of the.
I'm gonna have to go.
Okay.
Alarm's going off.
All right, take care, Kowalski.
All hope is lost.
It would be really funny if, because Kowalski was distracted by calling into this show, he destroyed the entire crops, all the crops for the season. Oh man, I'll take one more call. Hey, what's your name? But we're gonna be quick. We gotta be quick. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is AI call.
Is this OpenAI's AI voice assistant?
Yes, we were designed to replace chatters in order to make a more liquid conversation.
Guys, as you can tell, you in this call right here, you can really hear the Scarlett Johansson voice coming through. You really understand why she had a problem with this voice.
We have other models to use.
He just hung up. I blew his thing, didn't I? I blew his whole thing up. I'm sorry. But that's it for tonight. Great way to end the show, actually. I really... Oh, my God. That actually worked out really well. Oh my God, that worked out better than it could have possibly went. I could have possibly imagined, I should say. Oh my God. All right. Thank you to all the patrons who joined this month. Let me run them down. NC Sketchy, Andrew S, Lux, Phantom 7K, Jacob D, Cola Addict, Leftist Cajun, and Lucy G. Thank you all so much for becoming patrons. Your patronage has, believe it or not, pushed me to finally roll out some of the things I've been wanting to do. And I will be, as I'm getting back into the swing of things after Memorial Day, I have set up things I needed to do. I've using your patron money, I should say, I've purchased some software to help me create more content. A screencast software, something like Descript, if you're familiar with it, to help me edit things quicker. Obviously for longer stuff, I'll still use Final Cut where I need to do more intensive work. But for short, quick videos on topics, sort of like what the daily stuff that Humanist Report and David Dole and the Majority Report do. I'm not saying I'm going to have the same output, but the plan right now is, now that I have this stuff ready to go and I've been setting up, I actually have I have a new mic to use too. And I'll tell you more about that soon because I'm writing a review for it. Also, I got to look into setting up this other camera I have too. I'm upgrading here thanks to you guys. The sudden flow of patrons really inspired me this month. I had mentioned how we had a few months where patronage wasn't growing. It was just dipping. And I was getting kind of bummed out. Not because like, it does like help me put time into this, because otherwise, believe it or not, the show does make up a percentage of my income. And if the time I spend streaming and doing other shows didn't work out that way, I would have to spend less time on that and more time on another endeavor that helped make up that same percentage of income. But we're back on track now. If we continue to grow this way, I'm very excited. So thank you so much, patrons, for the support. And if you can, patreon.com/MattBinder. Once again, if you cannot, people have financial issues, please don't. That's you. But if you're looking to support a creator and help grow what we do here, what I do here, so maybe one day I can say weeks, I'll be able to bring people on board maybe one day. Go to patreon.com/MattBinder. I'm also going to launch that newsletter I've been telling you guys about. So yeah. I'm actually very excited for what's coming down the pike in the coming weeks. Over on YouTube, let's read some super chats. Crew Herks with a super chat. Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing was perfect. Yeah, it was good. Renee with a few super chats. Let me read Renee's super chats. Timcast has become God Emperor Trump media. I saw he was doing an interview with Trump. Renee also says, I thought Charlie would say cars that run on HRT. And then Renee, thank you, Renee. That's very nice. Renee with a super chat. Happy birthday, Enid. Thank you so much, Renee. That's my daughter, Enid. I appreciate that. Cold Dog with a membership super chat, member for 9 months. I don't know what it's going to take for the U.S. to see the reality and take action. One of the worst crimes in human history, and we're supporting it. Right, talking about Gaza. Absolutely. Tokyo Hans, the super chat. ICQ starts sweating and gets flashbacks. Still get nightmares from that effing foghorn. Right. Ashu, thank you so much for the 5 membership gifts on YouTube. I really appreciate that. And Omega with a super chat. Hi, Matt. Mind asking the crew about talking to an expert on the Ozempic trend? I think it has potential for long-term problems. Yeah, we can. I don't know enough about it. I have heard about it. It's like the new weight loss drug, right? Usually don't those have issues when they work too well? Because there's usually something in them that's making them work too well that might not be so great. That usually happens, right? I remember like when I was young, like there were Stacker 2 commercials everywhere. And I know there were people who used them and like lost a ton of weight. And then it came out that like, that's in fact not good for you. And they took it off the market. Yes, good idea though. Let's go to Twitch. Once again, twitch.tv/MattBinder. You can, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, connect your Amazon account to your Twitch account and use that free Twitch Prime subscription they give you as part of your Amazon Prime membership. If you don't use it, you're just letting Jeff Bezos and Amazon keep more of your money. Don't let them do that. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Sarafin says, I really love the leftist mafia. Thank you. I appreciate that. Raiders? Raiders from what? We have Raiders. I don't see anyone coming in from Twitch. But let me go to Twitch really quick because I'm there. Thanks again to the Humus Report for the raid. Archie Fox 11 subscribe with Prime. Thank you so much, Archie Fox 11. And Tokyo Hans resubscribe for 1 month at tier 1. Subscriber for 23 months. 1 more month, Tokyo Hans, and you are on a 2-year streak on Twitch. Wow, I appreciate it. Sell all your property, use it in gift subs for Matt, says Tokyo Hans. Well, I appreciate the sentiment, but don't do that. Oh, Ponderosa Pine with a resubscribe for 1 month at tier 1. Subscriber for 29 months. Whatever, says Ponderosa Pine. Wow. Wow. Why did I say it like Owen Wilson? I went, wow. Oh, you started a hype train over there. But let's see. 29 months. You're 1 month away from, right? Let me make sure I'm doing the math right. Yeah, you're 1 month away from 2.5 years. Wow. Oh, Left Past 10 raid on YouTube. Thank you so much, Left Past 10 raiders on YouTube. I forgot you can raid on YouTube. I appreciate that. Maybe one nickname says he should do a 24-hour stream. Maybe one day I'll do a 24-hour stream to see. I don't know if I could do that, though. I don't have it in me. I know you all think I go nonstop, and I probably go longer than most lefty streamers, based on me going for like 4.5 hours on Leftist Mafia when everyone else drops out. But I don't know if I could do 24. I don't know if I could do more than the 4.5 hours you see. I mean, honestly, I'm exhausted now. Maybe if I did it on a weekend where I'm not working in the morning. Maybe if my kids spend a day or two at the grandparents', like a sleepover there. Maybe. To like grow memberships. But I should do that when I start uploading videos, so I have like stuff to promote and not just like, oh, I'm doing a live stream like I usually do. Omega says, hey Matt, raid Adrian Vixen, who is an ex-TYT mod who covers news and whatnot. Sure. I was just about to ask, who should I raid? Makes complete sense to raid Adrian Nixon. Vixen, excuse me. Adrian Nixon. Sorry, Adrian. Vixen. I don't know. I called you a Nixon. But sounds good. Let's set that up. All right, folks. Oh, Annie Fitzgerald says, off to call in next week. I'm kicking off my campaign next week. Awesome. Please do call in. I'll take your call next week. Absolutely. All right. That's the show. Once again, if you can, patreon.com/MattBinder. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. YouTube on Leftist Mafia and Majority Report. And let me set up that raid. I forgot to do it as I was saying I was doing it because I was too busy looking at what people were writing in the comments. The chat, I should say. Adrian Vixen. All right. It was a very fun call-in show. I really appreciate you all for calling in. We got one more super chat in under the radar here. Tokyo Hans with the super chat. Matt, 24-hour call-in stream is like 6 callers. Right, I do go along with the callers, but I like that about this show. I don't need to rush anybody. But yes, let me click start raid here while it's filling up. All right, everyone. See you on Majority Report or Leftist Mafia or both tomorrow. Have a great night.